Hello, everyone, and welcome to the What the Sheep podcast reimagined, reborn. Welcome. It is episode 89, and as you can see, we are new, we are fresh. The construction is finished. Thank you to everyone who dealt with the construction tape and everything from last episode. We're back. We are ready, and I'm liking the new place. It's nice and cozy. We got a lot of books, a nice library. We got some crystals down in our corners here to keep our projections, our webcams going. It's great. It's nice and cozy.
Cozy tropics.
It's wonderful. Thank you to everyone who's stopping by. Today we are going to be discussing last night's episode, Critical Role Campaign 3 episode 45, and all of the shenanigans that went down in that episode. And boy, was there a lot of shenanigans going across the spectrum of very fun and hilarious to holy shit, what did we get ourselves into? But I think we'll start with the funny side of the spectrum first, as we finally got Ashton back after some crazy stuff that they were involved with. I hope someone has put together like a timeline of events or has already been trying to piece together exactly what happened, because I'm having a hard time following, but it's hilarious.
One, it's like an like the narrator or the person telling the story is exhausted and unable to kind of like fully express what's happened themselves. But yeah, that was a wild adventure by the sounds of it. And I do like how, and I think we discussed it a little bit yesterday, or maybe it might have been the Discord, but talking about how obviously the reason Ashton left was for a meta reasons, because Taliesin wasn't at the table. So I didn't expect it to be a major reason why Ashton had wandered off, or like, a totally groundbreaking reason, if that makes sense. Like, but I love what we got. I love this little side quest that Ashton went on. And it's totally on brand too, because it's, Ashton's like, I made eye contact with someone that I knew, and I thought I'd better go check in with them. It's totally what Ashton would do, and it's just the way it devolves from that point to then, well, I started telling them more than I wanted to, and I kind of got roped into this whole shakedown. It's just like, oh, baby. Oh, boy.
No, and it was funny, and we kind of talked about this before we went live, how it became like a reoccurring joke throughout the episode, where every time we cut back to an Ashton scene and stuff, they were just giving more and more new developments about this heist, this job that they did, this one-off job and stuff. And you were kind of mentioning how this would be great for like a little novel series, like a little graphic novel or something.
Yeah, a graphic novel of this escapade would be really fun, because it also sounds really exciting. I got Zadash flashbacks to them doing the heist and breaking into the well-to-do's mansion. Just the like, we went in to steal the ledger. He doesn't have a ledger. He had a Kenku, so we kidnapped the Kenku. And it's like, then the Kenku got away. And just, it would be perfect for a short graphic novel.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of potential there for something for their Critical Role team to do, but definitely not totally necessary. But I think it'd be pretty hilarious if they ended up going that route. But speaking of some fun shenanigans, we got a little bit more FCG stuff this episode, with going to one of the many professors that we've been introduced to these past couple of episodes, and I've already forgotten what this professor's name was.
Vitro Isham. I wrote it down.
Isham, yes. Excuse me.
I wrote it down 5 minutes ago.
Yes, there we have it. A wonderfully delightful character.
Oh my god, I forgot about the accent. I just remembered. The we've talked about it before, but the characterization, like how Matt goes full ham into developing the characters, and probably just a part of the physicality needed to do that accent, but just the way he held that face, the kind of the teeth,
the teeth,
the protruding jaw and everything. Wonderful character. And I feel like anytime Matt says, oh, it's a furball, it's just like, oh yes, go on, speak please, speak going. So I may hear this voice. And they were like, aside from just being wonderful sounding, they were a wonderful character as well. I like whenever FCG meets someone who is like, oh wow, you're incredible, and isn't, that proddy kind of, oh look at this robot. It's more like from a place of respect and a place of genuine recognition or acknowledgement of what they are. So that was it was a really cool introduction to this character.
Yeah, no, I agree. And how do you feel about the fact that and we kind of knew this already, but this powerful arcane source that is within FCG. I mean, the professor kind of touched on like, oh yeah, this makes sense because you were a part of the Care and the Culling. You would have a more powerful core that would be then activated, like to activate your assassin protocol and stuff. But the fact that it could also be like a nuclear bomb if it goes off. I
like it.
It's a little unnerving.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's very cool. I think it'll be the type of thing that, because FCG still, after this conversation, didn't seem 100% satisfied with the answer. It's still very much like, well, why still asking the questions, why do I exist? Like, what is my purpose if it's not for this? Or if I was built for something bad, how do I reconcile with that? Or how do I think FCG is looking to be kind of, admonished for it in a way. It's like, well, how do I, reconcile with the fact I should be vilified for this? And I think it's going to be a big part of this character arc of, they're empathetic and they help other people. They've got to learn to help themselves. Excuse me. So they're starting to get this sense. And I think Vitro said something, I think what it was, FCG, you can like carve your own path. If you don't remember that past, it's not your past. Like you can make your life whatever you want it to be, which again, FCG was still a bit unsure of that answer, not 100% on board, but starting to come around maybe to the idea of you're your own entity. You can do what you like. With this nuclear bomb inside.
With this bomb that is within your chest. It is interesting, and it's interesting that Sam is playing FCG very, very well, because in media, and the idea of robots is when they are built, they have a set protocol. They have what they were programmed to do. This is your job. Nothing else matters. This is what you are meant to do. They were meant to be an assassin, like a secret assassin robot.
Well, yeah, but that was secondary also to because we got the name of them too.
Correct.
We got
the harmonious like
automaton.
Yes. So yes, they did have that as well. So it's understandable that Sam is playing FCG this way, where they're still like unsatisfied with the answers that they are given, because they're struggling with the fact that they are in control of what they do. Like, sure, they may have been initially programmed to do this, but they have free will in a sense. He is able to do what he wants, and that's an interesting thing for FCG to kind of wrap their minds around, because in their minds things are binary. Like, this is what I was programmed to do, so shouldn't this be what I do? So it's very interesting.
It's that constant conversation of whether FCG has a soul and kind of what a soul means, and how that dictates, if something's alive or not, if they have a soul or if they don't have a soul, which is like kind of, I really like how it's coming together with this sense of divinity, this campaign. Like the divinity is almost called into question this campaign so far. We don't have any majorly divine players. There is the big threat of a god killer. We've got major NPC players that are very much against the divine and looking to subvert them. So this idea of, what do we actually know of the divine? If we look at just campaign 3 and ignore any kind of meta understanding we have of previous campaigns, it's like, well, what do we know of the divine? What do we know of souls in this world? It makes it really interesting for FCG to be like, well, I need, as you say, I need a purpose. I need something to direct me, a prime directive. And I keep thinking of FCG kind of like droids in Star Wars. Which is like really cool, because I love the idea of, this is now a Star Wars podcast, but I love the idea of how essentially the droids, they have a sentience, Not necessarily a soul, but they have a sentience and they have a capability to learn and create and understand and all
Yeah.
this, to the point where most reasonable humans and life forms in the Star Wars universe accept them as sentient living beings, like they are their own being. That's kind of how I see FCG in this world. Not the only one, but maybe the first that is being presented to the world as this automaton that is alive and sentient and capable of creating things. I mean, they want to bake and they want to, create joy and have empathy. That is like something that is, not necessarily robotic. That's quite human, quite like living concept. So I'm loving it. I'm loving the way that this character is developing. I like how Sam is constantly pushing back against the support that FCG is getting, because it's like, it's not an easy fix. It's not a matter of someone just saying like, hey, you be who you want to be. And it's like, oh, great, I'm fixed. It's they're still going to kind of question what's happening to them. And especially in this state that they're in now, where it's, red letter is about to go off. I think FCG is probably one of the most interesting characters at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of different layers to that, and I also like the running joke for this episode of everyone being like, guys, like, FCG's having a rough day, like, calm down, FCG, it's okay, everything's fine.
And then even later, it's like they were upset with Ashton. It's like, everyone just be nice to Ashton, okay? Yeah. And like, oh, we're sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was so good. But going off what you were saying, how FCG is kind of among like a first generation of these automatons that are exhibiting these different like emotions and stuff. We did get the professor saying that there have been records of other Aeormatons popping up recently. 100% obviously due to Devexian being around again. So
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we will eventually get a meeting with Devexian as that, lone trader wearing a cowboy hat and duster.
Yeah. And that'll be, I think that will be like either a turning point or just a pinnacle point in FCG's personal story arc, coming across Devexian to get that more relatable insight, since obviously Devexian is also an automaton. There might be a reasonable conversation to have there about what does it mean to have emotion? What does it mean to make these choices? I think Devexian would be like either the best or potentially the worst automaton to have a conversation like that, because we don't really know where Devexian stands with all of that stuff.
We get it. I was rereading about Devexian like literally earlier today, because I was reading about the Creator Hammer from Aeor. What we only really have from Devexian is they recognize the hubris of the wizards and was kind of called it their folly. So in a sense, Devexian had a strong sense of like, not so much what is right or wrong, but like what people did wrong. So I get the sense that, Devexian is also of the same level of sentience, and their goal is going to be focusing primarily focusing primarily on like creatures like FCG. So only wanting to help them. I wonder if they do meet up with Devexian and Devexian's like, come with me, I can kind of help you work your way through this. If that's like FCG's like, all right, peace, I'm out for a bit.
Yeah, no, it's actually, now that you say that, it's interesting that it seems like a lot of different player characters have a potential for like a mentor-esque character in their arc. Obviously the first couple that come to mind is Chetney and Annaline. I can't remember what their name was back with the Gorgonye.
Oh yeah.
There's Imogen and her mother, or even Odahan, if you will. Now we have there's Ashton, and you could also argue Annaline from the Gorgonye, since they kind of had that moment and stuff. And now FCG with potentially Vexian, Laudna. Who would Laudna's mentor be?
Delilah.
Oh well, yeah, could be Delilah. Just interesting, parallels with a few different characters. But I'm definitely excited for whenever we get to see Devexian. But another nice little advancement for FCG was a little oven, creating a little oven
So
on the
good.
person. So good.
So good.
Fully leaning into wanting to be a chef. Super
I thought it was
adorable.
going in such a different direction when Sam started to invent, a little pocket at the front. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking
Yeah.
about?
Yep.
Easy bake oven is
Mhm.
adorable. Yeah,
I,
that's a really cool.
I like that you said that where it's like, where are you going with this? And of course, like, it's with Sam because you never really know what they're going to do. And so, like, as he was describing, like, okay, using the heat, okay, where are you going with
Yeah.
this? Put a little hole, okay, what's going on here? And then,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Please,
it's enough.
please,
Okay,
please explain.
yeah,
Please explain. Okay.
please
Oh, thank
explain.
God.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's cute, and that's why I can guarantee that will come in handy, not just from a cooking standpoint. There's going to be some mechanical aspect to this furnace inside
yeah,
FCG that will be utilized at some point.
yep. And I love how Matt is just as the DM, like, yes, 100%, let's do that. I think that's gonna fit really
Mhm.
well with what FCG is trying to do. Um, so yeah, I love it. And speaking on, we kind of touched on it briefly of like Matt fully like immersing themselves into the mannerisms of these different characters,
Yes.
whether it be facial expressions or just mannerisms with his hands and stuff. Um, it was funny switching between that professor and then Khadijah, and then also who later on when they entered the scene. It's just how Matt is.
Yes.
We talk about it so many times too, where it's just like Matt is just so easily able to slip into these different characters, fully embodying them with their own different motives, emotions, and goals and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's how does he
It's cool.
how does he do it?
And especially too, well, because we mentioned it with the seminary, there's just so many names being thrown around
Yeah.
and so many different kind of like NPCs that we've got to keep track of. So it's been really good this last episode that we finally met them. We know who we're talking to. They've all got unique personalities to the point where we can actually recognize them and differentiate them. Because I remember 2 episodes or 3 episodes where they're going like, all right, we need to meet these 3 people in the seminary. And I'm like, they're all the same person to me.
Yeah.
That's one person they're
Yeah.
talking about. So it's nice now to know that we've got actual voices to the names. I could not tell you the names of the people that are working with Plane Rider Rin. I've forgotten them. They're out of my brain.
Oh
I know
yeah.
who they are. I just can't remember their fucking names.
Yeah.
But I do like the ones that we met this week. So Vitro in particular, just the accent and just the way they treat FCG. But yeah, this other one, whose name I didn't write down.
Khadijah.
I did write it down.
Sumal.
I did. Khadijah Sumal. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another very interesting character, giving us a lot of stuff that we had kind of already known, but also dropping a new term for us, or a new entity.
Oh, yeah,
of
we got
people.
some good stuff from this person.
We did some. It's like some answers, if you will, or more so just kind of expanding on stuff we had already known and just giving more
Yes.
like clarification.
Yeah, definitely that. I think the Omen archive was a big kind of draw. That's something that we've been like thinking about and have heard for a while. The confirmation that Otahan was essentially a subject of theirs, or Otahan was someone that they had worked with to an extent, and the fact that she was their last subject kind of makes sense. She's quite final
which also
in a
raises
lot of her
questions.
actions.
Yeah, exactly. Because then we also got confirmation that, I mean, we already knew that Liliana, Imogen's mother, was a part of the research and stuff, but then eventually parted ways, and potentially is now in league with Odahan and
Yes,
company.
I was going to ask you about that, your theories on Liliana. So the Discord chat specifically last night was giving some theories, but I want to know what you think. To what extent do you think Liliana's involved?
So this also kind of goes into Ludinus Deleth eventually making an appearance, which was also a shocker. Was not expecting to see Ludinus this early on, so that was a very exciting but also nerve-wracking reveal, which we can obviously dive into. But I fully think that Liliana is involved with the machinations that Ludinus is working on.
Mm.
Just
And do you,
purely because of the way that Ludinus respected Liliana and then
mm,
also respected Imogen. Just the way he was
yeah.
talking to them, the way he spoke of Liliana with like reverence and stuff, and that kind of echoed towards Imogen. Like it's as if Ludinus knows Liliana on like a personal level. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, Liliana is far more in this than I originally thought.
Yeah. And I was kind of banking on the idea, not so much banking on the idea, but I was thinking how, it sounds like she's involved, she's working with Otahan, maybe reluctantly, but I'm leaning more towards like, no, I think she's on board. I think she's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like sharing the same goals. Which kind of, I like that idea both ways. I kind of like the idea of her maybe being reluctantly involved because it's the only way she's able to understand her
Mm-hmm.
powers and and come to terms with that. But then I worry if it's not reluctantly, if she's
Mm-hmm.
on board, she's fully consenting, she wants to be a part of this, wants to release Predathos, or she in some sense wants to gain the power from it. I worry it goes down that path of she then throws that all away because her daughter's come and she's like, going to protect her daughter. I really don't like that trope.
Mm-hmm.
But it's again, they can do whatever story they want. And if that's how the dice rolls, that's how the dice rolls. But
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of Liliana being on board. She's bought in.
Yeah.
She's a threat to the safety of the Bell's Hells if they're going against Otahan.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want that to play out. I want her to be, essentially a threat that they have to face as well. But it kind of then it's hard to determine because we've seen her in Imogen's dream and she's telling Imogen to run. She doesn't want Imogen involved in this in any way, which makes her seem reluctant
Mm-hmm.
to whatever this thing is. You'd think if she was, a true believer, she'd be like, yeah, Imogen, come join us. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where this character goes, kind of what her motivations are. Yeah, confused. Confused is my
Yeah.
thought on Liliana.
I think that is a pretty general sentiment. Is we don't really know
Mm,
where Liliana's maybe loyalties lie. We know
mm,
that she definitely cares about Imogen, doesn't want her involved in any way because of the dreams and stuff. But then we don't know how invested she is with Ludinus. Like you said, it could just be she's
yeah.
looking for answers to her own powers and stuff, and Ludinus is offering that. But then my Ludinus felt very hypocritical and contradictory a bit in this
Yes.
conversation. He spoke about power and
Mm-hmm.
his personal view on power.
Yeah.
How people who rely on power are, weak. So I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but he essentially doesn't respect people who rely on their power for personal gain.
Mm.
Um, it seems like he more respects power when used for a higher purpose rather than personal gain, which is then interesting as to then why he is so invested in like Liliana and these Ruidusborn and the Exultant is because they have this innate power connected with Ruidus. Is it possible that they're all in it for this greater purpose, or is Liliana in it for personal gain? Because if she's wanting to know what her power means,
Mm.
that's more so like a selfish, if you will, maybe in Ludinus is a selfish endeavor, trying to find out what their purpose is and
Mm.
stuff. So it's in that sense, it's interesting that Ludinus is so invested with Liliana and maybe these other exaltants and stuff, given his idea of power. Or he's just whispering and saying these honeyed words towards Imogen to try to get her on his side.
Yeah.
And Liliana is not well off, and she is like a prisoner of sorts. I don't know. It is hard to it's hard to say. But
The
oh no, go ahead.
the thing with Ludinus, and I think one, it was perfect that Fern was in that room because she
Yeah.
is so disarming. And like, dude was about to walk out the door, and he's just like, "Oh no, I'm gonna monologue now." Like,
Yeah.
like, and he might have given away more than he should have
Mm-hmm.
realistically, but he seems very determined, or at least what he was saying, which feels out of character to the Ludinus we know. And we talked about this before the stream about how we do have this meta knowledge of Ludinus that the Bells Hells don't. We know about their relationship through the Mighty Nine's endeavors, and if we take that away and we just look at like what the Bells Hells know and just take him not necessarily at face value, but if we just listen to what he's saying without what else we know, he was talking about his past and his relationship to the gods and how he saw what the gods did. He saw the gods sunder creativity and sunder, I can't remember the exact words he used, but it was essentially like, they tore us down because they were threatened by our might and by our potential, by our creative potential, which kind of screams, Aeor and the Divergence and the Calamity. Like this was very much the peak, the age of Arcanum, and there's that point of Aeor being destroyed by both the Betrayers and the Prime Deities because they created the Creator Hammer, the weapon that could destroy gods. So if you think about it from their standpoint, it's like, the calamity's happening. The Prime Deities and the Betrayer gods are battling it out. They're trying to, fight, take control. But they call a truce to destroy this one floating city. Like they felt threatened. They felt incredibly threatened. So you look at this from someone who might potentially have been there, or at least knows the stories of that time, to think of if they could put aside the calamity for a moment to do this one thing, they must truly be afraid of what their creations are capable of. And it kind of like, it's a lovely parallel between this idea of Predathos and these new entities that we learned about, the Raelora now, which I'm going to safely assume, I'm going to assume are, creations of Predathos. These are these twisted entities that Predathos has been creating, or was initially creating on Exandria, and are now on Ruidus with them. There's this lovely parallel between, divine entities or grand entities and their creations, and why they have them. Why do the gods create life? Ludinus, I feel, is very jaded on this point. And I mean, just the way they were speaking was very like, standoffish and hurt and kind of matter of factly
like, this is personal.
We don't need that. They need us. We don't need them. Which makes me excited for the Raelora, because I feel like Matthew Mercer is so good with these parallels. We might what do they get to Ruidus, or Ruidus is unleashed and Predathos is dead. Predathos is gone and it's the Raelora running the show. Like I kind of like this idea of the Raelora being the antagonist of whatever's happening on Ruidus, but I don't know. We don't know is the problem. Ludinus is not giving us enough information to come to any final conclusions on this.
Oh, really?
And we just don't know, because the gods are so esoteric, and we don't we don't know, Nico.
No, I know, and it's tough. But speaking on the Raelora and how they are potentially creations of Predathos, this then could speak more on the hypocrisy of Ludinus in this scenario. So Ludinus' whole idea is he does feel this is a very personal endeavor for him, speaking on the gods destroying, possibly during the calamity, or perhaps the collapse of, Malaesmere and all of that stuff. It's as if he was personally there, which I suppose is possible. He is very old. But his whole idea of he wants free will, he wants to be unbound from the chains that the gods kind of have them in, setting them on this path of destiny, of fate, and all that stuff. He wants to be free. He wants to be rid of that. But where the hypocrisy kind of came in this scene was how he feeble-minded and or dominated Khadijah to give him the papers, the lost papers that were taken from Vasselheim. It's like, whoa, okay, so you're all about free will and being free from the constraints of the gods, but now you're taking that from someone for your own personal gain. But again,
and he did.
No, go
He
ahead.
did. Sorry, he did say like, "Oh, I do hate to take away
Yes. Yeah.
their free will," but
Hmm.
it was very off the cuff. It was very
Yeah.
nonchalant.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, and that's what we learned last week about that is the goal, the primary goal of the Ruby Vanguard, who he is the supposed head of, but we
Hmm.
don't know how that gels with Otterhan's plans
Hmm.
or, the Unseelie Court's plans
Yeah.
for all these things. It makes me question also, what the hell's the Unseelie Court doing? Like, why do they
Yeah,
want this?
and that's and this kind of goes back to a conversation that we had last week where all of this feels very grand, like a little too
Mm,
grand of like a story
mm,
arc. But there is still so much more potential for it to be fleshed out because of all of these different factions that are involved. They all likely
yeah,
have their own goals that they're keeping
yeah.
secret from the other factions. And so all of this is going to come to a head and come to fruition when the solstice lands, where there's just so many other different things going on that we don't even know about that the Bellcells are going to have to
Mm,
deal with. Um, so while again, speaking on it being grand, it is very grand, but
mm.
uh, once it gets broken down, there's so many more minor things that they're going to then have to deal with once all is said and
Yeah.
done. Um, it's
I
a
just
lot to
see
juggle.
yeah, I just see Jack has mentioned in chat about the Rin Ludinus double standard, and I think that's referring to the fact that Rin also charmed the person in the shed. I can't remember that guy's name. Taurus,
Tuldus?
Tradrus, Taldus.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah. I don't have a problem with what Ludinus did. I think Feeble Mind's a great spell. I think it's really fun. We're just calling him a hypocrite because
Yeah.
he's saying
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't think there's a problem. Well, obviously there's problems with taking away people's free will and charm
Hmm.
person and all that fun stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're not saying it's necessarily a double standard. It's just more hypocritical of Ludinus
Hmm.
to, praise
Yeah.
free will and then take it away. Rin didn't do
Hmm.
that. Rin's just like,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah. Rin's great. Rin's just having
Rin's
a grand
great.
old time.
Rin can do no
Um,
wrong.
but I do want to bring up your point again because I think it is a good
Mm-hmm.
point of the fact that we do have
Ooh,
this
I made
meta
a good point.
knowledge of Ludinus,
Yeah.
about how they're a very very bad person. But
Mm.
let's forget that and
Oh
just see
no.
this scene as the first time we have seen Ludinus. Like some
Yeah.
of the things he's saying make sense. He is a very
Oh yeah.
charismatic individual. Like yeah, the
It-
gods went out of their way to destroy creativity, to destroy advancements because they feared us. They knew we were getting
yeah.
too powerful. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw the gods. What the hell? What's going on
We can
there?
also throw away all the meta knowledge we have of character interactions with divinity.
Hmm.
Because we, forget Caduceus and Ford's relationship with the Wild Mother. Forget, Pike and the Everlight. What do we know this campaign about the gods? Not much. So when this point of authority, I guess, is saying these things where it's like, what have they actually done for us? They need us, we don't need them. They take and they take and they take.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Previous civilizations were better off and were flourishing without it. Again, we have better knowledge that that's not necessarily true.
Hmm.
Avalier was it was good, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but there was some real shady, shitty aspects of
Yeah.
it. But if we take away all that meta knowledge, it's like, yeah, I can kind of see that. Like, no one wants to live under the thumb or under the kind of control of some entity that doesn't necessarily provide or do anything for them. It seems very one-sided, but if we then allow ourselves the meta knowledge of, well, we've seen the gods do good things, and
Hmm.
it's that wonderful conversation with divinity
Yeah.
and its purpose, and I think it's
Hmm.
going to land somewhere in the gray. Like,
Yep.
it's not black and white. We can't say divinity is bad, Ludinus is right, let's get rid of them.
Hmm.
And we can't say no, they're perfect, they need to exist. And it's definitely somewhere in the gray. Like,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. And
That's how I finished my point.
yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Do we think that Ludinus was around for the calamity, or do you think it was more Malaismere? Because that was a bit more recent in
What
history.
if, get your tinfoil hat ready, what if Ludinus
Is
was
there is due.
through, yes, exactly what I was going to say.
That's where you were going with it, right?
What if Ludinus is so old that they're actually, and I can't remember the word for it, but they did that bullshit with the Luxon, and so they've been
Oh.
reborn a few times.
Oh, why can't I remember the name either?
But the problem with that theory, I'm going to poke holes immediately. We know like it's said in Ludinus's bio in the Wildmount Guide, they were there for the destruction of Melasmir, Melasma, which was like 580 PD, which is about 300 years ago. So that's old.
Yeah.
For an elf. It's a decent chunk, but. If we're expecting them to be old enough to be around for the Calamity, that's an extra 500 years. So this would be like at least an 800-year-old elf, which again is not impossible. Like 800 years is not the most outrageous for an elf. It's pretty outrageous, but it's not the most outrageous. I don't get the sense this is an 800-year-old elf.
Well, okay. Is your tinfoil hat still on?
Oh yeah, it's never coming off.
Okay. This is the longest shot I think I have ever spoken into the universe.
I love it. One sec, I'm ready.
And I don't think it is true by any means, but
no.
it could be a fun food thought.
You gotta wholeheart these things.
Okay, so we know that Ludinus did a lot of research on these Luxon beacons, right? When they had them in campaign 2. And then speaking on like the consecuted souls and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Ludinus is saying that this is his life's work. This is what he's been working on his entire life, and that he's very old. Yeah. He's seen this destruction. He's seen it all.
I'm getting excited.
What?
I'm getting excited.
If through his research into the Luxon, there was a soul that then latched onto his and maybe took over, and this was like this ancient soul that's been through all of this stuff and has that like disdain for the gods, and maybe either took over Ludinus or is just like a voice in the back of his head, like guiding him now in his actions. I feel like that's probably not even close to being anywhere near true, but like, I don't know.
Well, stranger shit.
Yeah, stranger shit's happened.
I like the idea that Ludinus was around for the Calamity. I want to believe that Ludinus was around for the Calamity. I saw a fun theory. I think it might have been on Reddit, and I apologize. I don't know who said it, so I'm just stealing their idea now. But it was not my own idea. I saw a fun theory that, Ludinus believes that they've been in contact with Predathos. They mentioned to Imogen and Fern, they said like, oh, are you Ruidus born, or are you Ruidus Hatch? And said, to some extent, like I have had my connections with the Red Moon, which is like such a bullshit answer. Like, just tell us, dude. But he said, I've got a connection with the Red Moon. What if Ludinus thinks they're speaking to Predathos, or they're speaking with this entity that's going to be able to destroy the creation, destroy the deities that cause so much woe in Ludinus's mind, but it's really just the Rylora. It's really this powerful civilization of aberrant, fucked up beings that just want to get back to Exandria. It's like, if you think about it, if the Rylora are these entities that were created by Predathos, Exandria is technically their home. They were created there. They are not original. They are beings that were created on Exandria. And they, much like the Betrayer gods, have been locked away behind a gate for a very long time. And we saw what that did to the Betrayer gods after only, a shorter amount of time. Wasn't great. So I love this idea of this. I don't want to use the word evil because it seems too easy, but this corrupted, aberrant, unlike any kind of life that exists on Exandria now, power that has been locked away, that is trying to break free and is doing anything it wants to. I'm thinking a bit like, I just watched Shang-Chi again the other day. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've not.
Oh, dang. Well, I won't spoil anything, but there's essentially an entity blocked behind a barrier that is tricking people to release it. And it's kind of like the vibe I'm getting from this. It is this maybe not civilization, but this group that is wanting to be free, yearning to be free, and they're waiting for the perfect time, an apogee solstice, and enough followers and enough people that have been born under their sign to have this connection. Maybe it's taken this long because they can only connect with people that are born when it's in full flare.
Yeah.
But I love the idea that Predathos doesn't exist anymore. Predathos is dead, or Predathos is gone, and it's the Rylora, these other entities that are running the show.
Mm-hmm. And then no, I think that's a potentially likely theory. Because we don't know if Predathos is still even there. But I like how Adam is saying Ludinus is being catfished by those people and he doesn't have a damn clue.
It's so on board. It's so on board with Archmage bullshit. Yeah. When has an Archmage ever been like, I want unlimited power, and it's gone well for them? Like, it always backfires.
But that's the interesting thing with Ludinus, is because his goal isn't power. His goal is to release Predathos to eliminate divinity. It's not like he's like Vecna and he's trying to ascend to a godlike status. Yeah. He is just trying to release something that can do what he wants.
How much do you think it is, though, him saying, I want to destroy divinity for the greater good, for the good of everyone? You know, we'll be so much better without divinity. Or do you think it's from a bureaucracy standpoint where he's like, the Cerberus Assembly keeps getting fucked by the Cobalt Soul, by Vasselheim, by all these goddamn magic users that get their powers from gods. I studied, I went to school, I learnt my magic, and all these motherfuckers are saying, oh, please have a light, like what, like, and she gives them powers. I mean, like, do you think he's just like, those bitches, they need to pick up a book?
It might, because he even kind of said, he was like, oh, and all of these transactional power gains from divinity and stuff. He's like, oh, I think all these people.
Yes, Adam just said exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah. Ludinus is so fucking petty. Like, this dude is just like, no. Like,
Ludinus is Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, who are pissed off that all these other people are getting magic, you know, from other things that isn't from what they did from themselves, and now they're like, we need Divinity 1.1, and now we are going to eliminate everything.
People might say they won, but really we all won. Oh God. Let's not get into it right now.
Yeah, no. I just thought it was funny. No, but it is interesting that Ludinus could simply just be petty. It's like, okay, let's just get rid of these divinity people, so that way all these fuckers can get off my back. With their divine.
Because I mean, the Cobalt Soul itself, which is probably the main organization breathing down his neck at the moment, they are very much, you know, they are a religious organization in a sense. They are the knowing mistress is kind of their sponsor. Ludinus is so baby girl, amazing. And I think we're seeing that he's interested in primordial powers. He was very interested in the Luxon. He was involved with that dunamantic ability, which now makes me question: is he just into dunamancy, or is he more into ancient power? We don't know.
Yeah, but he's also had, you know, several years to develop these dunamancy potions and powers, whatever he has going on behind the scenes for his Rudis-born army and stuff. So I would imagine the Rudis-born might have access to some level of dunamancy either through these potions.
Well, we know the Paragon's Call had a shit ton.
Oh yeah.
And we know Ojahan was involved with them. So, well, she's the leader, isn't she? She's the leader of the Paragon's Call. Is that right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
So she had crates of that stuff ready to go. I think they made the good choice. I think going to the Feywild was a good choice. In my head, it was like, no, you're already in Marquette. Go to the site in Marquette to destroy the whatever it is. I can't remember what it's called.
They need to farm some XP before they go there. They need
to farm some XP. Yeah, let's not go up against Ojahan, the Paragon's Call, Ludinus, and Dunamantic werewolves. Like, I think we've got enough on our plate right now.
Yep. Go kill some boars in Elwyn Forest and level up a bit before moving on. But I guess we can transition a bit into the Feywild stuff, unless there's anything we really want to touch on with Ludinus. I mean, Ludinus is a whole thing.
I could keep going about Ludinus. You know what rhymes with Ludinus? Rudinus.
True. Yes.
I could keep going.
Coincidence?
So we should stop now.
Coincidence?
I think not.
We've cracked your code, Matthew Mercer.
Yeah.
We see through your lies.
We need to move on because I'm literally thinking of more things.
Yeah,
So
we gotta leave it there. There will be more Ludinus stuff that comes up in future episodes, and stuff. But yes, the Feywild.
Woo,
we are finally back, and I loved Matt's acting as Rin's description of creating the portal, like carving into like reality, and just like this, like just like pushing it, like pushing it open.
Plane Rider has to be like one of the coolest titles of an NPC that we've met so far, and just as you say, the descriptions are so unique, and like I think I said in the Discord chat to the people there, I was like, this, I expect nothing less of someone called the Plane Rider. This is such a cool description of planar travel, and it's so cool to be going back to the Feywild. I don't think campaign 2 we didn't go at all. It's
been years.
It's been since campaign 1 that we
been a long time. Long time. Then Stormy Boy also says all of the tuning forks that she had, all their different like descriptions and stuff. Oh, so cool. So cool. We love
the Feywild is stress for me. I don't know about you. I feel very stressed in the Feywild. Yeah,
because like when I think of the Feywild, I think of very whimsical fairy tale, magic everywhere. Good vibes all around, a bit mischievous and stuff, but
I think of that, but I think of like grim fairy tales.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, it's very much like I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love the Feywild. I think it's a really cool plane. I like the way it works. I like the nature of the entities that live there. The concept of like name ownership in the Feywild is really cool too, which I'm excited to see if something like that comes up, because there was that recent wizard subclass that I don't know if it still exists. I don't know if they went with it, but there was that whole idea of name magic, which felt very Feywild to me. I'd love to see more of that kind of come up. But when I think of the Feywild, I think of like you got to be on your toes. You got to be ready.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I like that they've started with this kind of, you know, into the swamp, into the woods style intro.
Into the woods, to the and I also liked the change in appearance from Fern.
Yes,
going a bit cool. Creepier. A lot of people are like, oh, she's turning into a hag and stuff.
Much more Fey-like.
Yeah, way more Fey.
Yeah,
which is really cool. It'll be interesting to see how that develops, if it goes any further or anything.
We have that dark Fey vision from EXU as well. That was, you know, calling her back to the Feywild. It's a little concerning to think there could be something nefarious or something not good waiting for for Fern here in this space.
That is something we'd have to be worried about. You know what? Because you're right. It is very stressful here.
They do have a goal. They need to get to the Unseelie Court. They need to destroy this machine. I still don't know what they are. Like, they keep talking about it and I still can't think. Is it like
these Malleus
you know what I picture in my head, and it's so dumb? I picture a big catapult or a big trebuchet that they're gonna fling something at Ruinous, and that's what unlocks it. I know it's not that, but that's just what I picture in my head whenever they say they've created a machine to like unlock Ruinous. I'm like, oh yeah, clearly a trebuchet. Like
that's better than what I imagined. I thought of like a big magnifying glass that they're gonna all like point at Ruinous, and they're gonna like melt the barrier.
So better. What are you talking about? That's way better. That's so much better than a fucking trebuchet.
A trebuchet. Oh my god.
A railgun cannon is cool too.
Yeah.
But they've got that. That's a goal. They need to get there at some point, figure out where it is. Potential for disaster along the way. The Nightmare King might be around. We don't know. You is probably around somewhere. Yeah. They've totally abandoned Fern's parents to their own devices.
Ollie and Birdie,
I think that's like they've literally forgotten. So they've got a timeline still, but we don't know. Things go weird in the Feywild. They might have more time here than they would have on the material plane.
Yeah.
So I think we might spend some time with Mori doing a side quest, or like doing
Yeah.
something separate in the Feywild for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I
Which
agree.
I'm on board for.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
could
let's
see
have a
them
good fun.
spending like a level, maybe even 2 levels here.
Mm.
Like, let's say, they do a quest for Mori, they level up, and then they work towards like the Sealy Court stuff, level up again. Like
Yeah.
that we
Yeah,
could be here for a while.
I agree. I kind of hope it's not a pop in, pop out
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah.
Um, just yeah, because that's kind of how Whitestone felt a little bit. Whitestone felt a little bit pop in,
Mm.
pop out.
Yeah.
So I kind of want them to actually like sit in it for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they probably will, since like there's so much that's going on here. Obviously, they have their main quest. They have whatever Mori's gonna do with them. We have more Fern backstory stuff. We have Aeor potentially coming up again. Like there's so many. There's too many things in the Feywild for it to just be a quick 15-minute adventure.
yeah.
But we've already had a few interesting encounters.
Oh my god.
With the flowers and stuff, all the flowers having personalities of their own. The weird ent, the tree moving thing. I don't really know what
I don't know what that
was.
was.
No idea.
I got there was like Baba Yaga vibes of the walking house, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
got the sense it was just Feywild bullshit.
Yeah, it was
Just
just
chalk it up to Feywild bullshit.
weird Feywild shit going on. But then, yes, as Lady is saying in chat, the flowers can't clap. How they just screamed
Oh,
at the Bell's Hells after the
amazing.
beautiful singing performance. It's great. I love it here. I want them to stay here forever.
Yeah.
If
horrifying.
timey-wimey stuff can be done where time doesn't pass in the material world, yes, they should just stay here. I think that'll be their best bet. They won't have to worry about the solstice ever. Things will be great.
Yeah. Yeah, well, isn't that a little bit like what Mori, her relationship with Fern kind of felt like? It was very much like, keeping her concealed, keeping her closeted, keeping her away from the realities of the world. I'm a little concerned something like that could happen if it's like, oh, you're back, you're never leaving again. Like, I don't think Mori's the type of character they want as an enemy. But I do worry about her kind of exerting her much more. God, what am I trying to say? She's powerful. We've got the sense she's going to be a very powerful entity. She's not something that necessarily you want as an enemy or want against you.
Definitely not. No.
Well, she likes cocktails, so maybe she's okay.
Yes, she has a tiki bar. It's great. She's two people in one. Yeah, we kind of then touch on her description and stuff. Fern obviously not phased at all by Mori, but the ET like description and the craning of the neck, the long arms, the face on their torso. Oh my!
It's like
I'm terrified.
Souls-like creature, like something out of Elden Ring.
God. The boss HP bar just appeared.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. Where's that music coming from?
Yeah, well, I hear boss music.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Amazing description. The elongated features. But what the hell is up with the stomach? The mouth, the
god.
entity? Is it a part of her? Is it a separate entity? Oh, I'm so excited by this. I'm really excited by the concept of a multi-part character with like parts of their essence split between different spaces, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is the same Mori, but maybe different like personalities, perhaps.
Yeah.
If you use the closed captions for the episode, when the different versions were talking, they were labeled as Mori 1 and Mori 2.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
I'm
on board.
it could be just them like hiding the fact that they are just two separate things and just labeling it as such,
Yeah.
or it could just mean that they are the same person and they're just different personalities, different
I like
facets
that.
of the
I
same
like that a
person.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 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 a wild character description. I'm trying to think of. I'm guessing she's a unique creature of Matt's, but
Yeah.
obviously hag-ish.
Mhm.
Whether or not she has any kind of classical hag tendencies
Yeah.
or likeness, but this definitely feels like an original creation, original creature of Matt's. I want to kind of know about her place in the Feywild. So we've got like, we know she's the Fate Stitcher, right? She's the Fate Stitcher. We got that mixed up last week. People in the comments were very kind to let us know.
Yeah.
She's the Fate Stitcher. What does that mean? What does it mean that she has these multiple entity parts that are also part of her? Where does she stand with the Sealy and Unsealy court? We kind of know that she's on the outskirts. She is one of these groups, one of these outsiders that isn't involved with either of the sides, much like Aeor was as well. What was her relationship with Aeor like? How is she going to treat the Bell's Hell? Suddenly these mortals wander in and they got Fern with her, great, but that how much does that count for?
Right.
I'm really excited for the next episode. Which we need to wait 2 weeks for.
2 weeks. But we do have season 2 of the Legends of Vox Machina premiere next week. So
I think I just want to have a quick look at that. Legends of Vox Machina. Because someone else could probably tell me, but I think I saw that the episodes we're getting, or the episode titles.
Yes, all the episode titles are revealed already.
Yes, and here we go. There's something very interesting, because I think we're getting the 3 episode releases again. Yeah, it's Rise of the Chroma Conclave, The Trials of Vasselheim, and The Sunken Tomb are the first 3 episodes. Very exciting. Very excited for those words.
Can't wait. And I was kind of talking about this yesterday, how the Chroma Conclave arc I don't really know a whole lot about. I know like the main plot points, like the main events that happened, but a lot of like the in-betweens and stuff I don't really know a whole lot about. I don't know too much about the different dragons and stuff, so I'm excited because I don't really have a lot of expectations going into it, since I don't really know exactly everything that happened, so I'm excited in that regard.
It's kind of interesting. The Chroma Conclave, when I think of it more as like 4 mini arcs. More specifically as like finding the vestiges is how I picture it, because the Chroma Conclave, it's like, that's the arc, that's the period of time that they're in, but I always view it more as, no, it's a quest to get the vestiges. So it's like they get a vestige or 2 and then they have a boss fight at the end with the dragon, then they go look for more, and then they have another dragon fight. So I think this season, I mean, again, if we look at the episode titles, I think we're getting I've forgotten the names. I've forgotten the dragons' names. Oh no. I think we're getting the White Dragon fight, and we're getting the Umbrasyl fight. I can't remember the White Dragon's name. Frosty McFrosterson. Umbrasyl's the Black Dragon. I know that one. Can't remember the White Dragon's name. Rhyme Fist? It's not Rhyme Fist. Voragul. Yes.
Oh, because so wasn't Geladon like...
Geladon was the mate,
Was the mate of Voragul? Yes.
Yeah. So I think we're getting Voragul and we're getting Umbrasyl. So, which were probably my 2 favorite, favorite fights. So it's exciting that we're getting that. It's exciting we're getting some vestiges. I'm guessing, then season 3 will be the second part where they, take on Thordak and Raishon.
All that stuff, which is then interesting because, like, the Chroma Conclave, with back in campaign 1 was meant to be the end of the campaign, but then they wanted to keep playing, and so then the return of Vecna and all that stuff ended up being the final climactic stuff. So like after season 2 and 3, there might only be 1 or 2 seasons left, depending on how much they want to stretch out then all the final Vecna stuff. Because
And then what comes
whereabouts,
next?
like, what episode-ish did the Chroma Conclave arc end? Was it in the 90s?
80s?
80s? 80s?
70s?
There? I can't remember. But again, like, and this is obviously talking, like, years in the future. You know, we look at seasons like, oh, there's only going to be 4 or 5 seasons of the Legends of Vox Machina, but now that's like 4 years from now that we will probably have the final season.
Oh my god!
Which is also wild to think about. 4 years. Oh god. Where are we going to be 4 years from now?
I just thought something and it really upset me. I just thought in 4 years I'll be halfway to 40.
Oh. Uh-oh. In 4 years I will be 30. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Anyways, season 2 of Legends of Vox Machina, coming out next next week. Let's not think about time. I think maybe we need to go to the Feywild so that we don't have to deal with any of the
Get us some of that
stuff.
Ludinus aging cream.
Yeah, we need to figure out which dermatologist they go to. But very excited for season 2. I did secure some tickets to see the episodes in theaters, so that's going to be hopefully fun experience.
We don't get that here. Yeah, we don't have that here.
You don't have that down upside down land.
No, we don't.
But it's
I'm very jealous, but I'm also very excited.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really cool. I'm excited for just seeing from the trailers. It looks like the animation has also been not necessarily like the regular animation, but maybe like the CG animation that they have incorporated in it as well. Like the dragons, them specifically, their CG animation. The traditional kind of hand-drawn style. But it looks really good. It looks like they've really upped it.
No, I'm very excited. And for everyone that is interested in watching it, we will have server watch parties again for the episodes. It was very fun to do that last year, or was it last year? Was when season 1 came out?
Yeah.
So weird. It was really fun to do it last year, so we will be doing it again. Usually, I think we did it every Friday after their releases. So if you're interested in that, be sure to join the Discord server. Link in the description down below. And you can join in on those watch parties and stuff.
Yeah.
With all that being said, is there anything else we want to talk about with the episode from last night?
So here's 5 things I want to say about Ludinus. No, I'm just kidding.
Here's 7 more things that I came up with while we were talking. No, I think next week's episode is going to be, 2 weeks next episode. They're going to the tiki bar. They're going to have some drinks, learn some stuff, and maybe go on like a fetch quest or something. Who knows? Now this is going to sound weird. I want some conflict in the Feywild. I want the Belltails to face conflict. That's not to suggest they haven't faced conflict, but all the conflict they've faced so far has felt very much like, grand scale, relating to Rudis, relating to Odhan. I want them to come against some kind of force that they need to deal with that is totally unrelated to their current problem. Does that make sense? Yeah, no, totally. Like, it's just an isolated little mini story arc. With a final villain that they can beat
with
within
some
their
stakes that aren't world ending.
Yeah,
I want some serious stakes that
this would be the place for something like that. It's a very isolated place. It's away from Exandria. Time is weird, so they can take all the time they need to accomplish it. So I'm totally down for a bit of a side story arc for this. I think it'd be cool.
I think so too. I think it'll be a nice, side vacation, as much as you can vacation in the Feywild.
Yeah, I know they're as Adam's saying, they need time to catch their breath. Their time to catch their breath is the tiki bar that they're going to. That'll be all the time they need. And hopefully, I don't know if because I think earlier in this campaign, Orem was saying how he doesn't like pie or something.
Yeah.
Like he's not a fan of pie. Liam remembered that he said that because when Fern was like, it's rude to not accept things that she offers, whether it be drinks, pies, or whatever, Liam made a face of like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to eat a pie if she offers it.
Dude has pie trauma from
yeah,
from
he
XU.
does.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really funny. But I am excited. I am excited for
Yeah.
this tiki
No,
bar and
it's
learning
good.
more
It's a
about
nice change.
Maury.
Well, it's a literal change of location.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn more about Maury. I'm excited to learn,
Mhm.
even to keep on the main quest line, to learn more about
Yeah.
what the Unseelie Court's doing, but also to have a little bit of a break from the main quest line
Yeah.
for just a second. Will be really nice, and then we can get back to Ludinus, and we can get back to whatever the fuck he's up to.
Oh gosh. In
Like,
due
goddamn
time, we will find out,
dickhead.
but we must be patient and wait a couple more weeks until we get some more answers there. But with that being said, I believe that is going to be everything we have for tonight's episode. Unless there's anything else. We touched on the Ray Laura, we touched on all the Ludinus stuff. Well, there's always more Ludinus stuff, but
ligament manor, horrifying.
Oh
yeah, that's it.
A ligament manor.
I'm good.
Oh yeah, it's so good. It's so
good.
But yeah, so that's gonna be it for us for episode 89 of the What the Shoot podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, it's so wonderful to see all of you here chatting with us in the live chat, but then also everyone who comments on the YouTube upload when this goes up. We really appreciate you guys showing your support.
Yeah.
If you want to support us more, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow our personal Twitters. You can also follow the podcast Twitter directly. Links to all of those are in the description down below. As I said before, you may also join the community Discord server where we post when we go live also. We also will be doing the watch parties. It's also just an awesome place to meet some critters and stuff. I've known like a lot of the people who talk in chat and a lot of the people who are in the community Discord server have been there for years now. And it's a great place to meet some folks and share your passion of D&D, Critical Role, or anything like that. So yeah, be sure to check all those out in the description down below. As always, don't forget to love each other. Spread the love to everyone you meet, everyone you see. The world needs more love in it, so make sure you're spreading it around. But most importantly, do not forget to love yourself. That is the most important thing you can do. So make sure you are taking care of yourself. Drink some water, eat some food, get plenty of rest. I'm proud of you. And again, thank you for being here. And so everyone, with all that being said, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you may be on this glorious earth. And we will see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.